eclipses, so lunar eclipses, and
Yeah, I saw that. Okay, so the sun, yeah, buy some beverage.
All right.
But.
I saw them. You can see up there at the.
How y'all feeling overall? Pretty good. I know, in general. I actually feel better after the last class. And it's not that I felt bad, I was just really tired, but it recharged me a little bit. But the eclipses today, and honestly, I've been focused on it the entire weekend. I did a mini retreat and that was our entire focus, was it not, Jen? She got to come. And it was a beautiful day. It ended up, you know, it was so cold and bad weather on like Thursday and Friday, and it just cleared for us on Saturday. It was perfect. And then yesterday I did like I called it the Cliff Note version. I did the restorative yoga and we brought in some sacred ceremony, and it was just as beautiful and powerful as Saturday. I'm not going to divert away from this topic because I know, well, Susan's expecting it. She's like, what are you going to tell us over the eclipse? I can't go into as much detail as obviously I did in 4 hours and in 2 hours yesterday, but I'll still give you some of the information. But before we get into it, if your energy level's fine, we'll do the active, gentle flow like we typically do. But if you need more restorative, speak up now, and I'll pepper that in.
Yeah,
You want restorative peppered in? I was actually hoping you would say that. Yay, okay, we're on the same page, perfect. I'll tell you what, we'll do some movement, I'll talk about the eclipse, we'll do some movement, then we'll restore. So you get some movement in the mix as well. So I'll go ahead and say this eclipse is obviously gotten a lot of attention. Mainly because it's coming over North America, over the United States, and that's where we're at. And we're getting even more press about it because we're so close to totality. We had the totality in 2017. The Duke of Kentucky is the totality for this one. So I've been hearing we're gonna see at least like 90% of it. In 2017, I took my son out of school. I took the General Jackson. It anchored downtown. I was in the middle of it all. This go round, I don't want to be around the soul, not even my family. And I am going to be with my dog, and I'm going home, and I'm going to sit in meditation and just take myself to the point of origin. And what I mean by that, that point of origin, when you get into that place of meditation, you can get into that place of perfect peace that, you know, it doesn't require anything, where the mind simmers to the point where there's not much thinking and you're just kind of existing. That's the place I want to be in, because that is the point of the greatest potentiality that we have. And this eclipse is awakening our potentiality. And any eclipse that we experience, there's going to be a shakeup and there's going to be some wake ups, because the eclipse is trying to reset everyone and reset the collective towards the path we're meant to be on, towards our soul's purpose, to fulfill that soul contract. And so there's a lot of changes that can erupt around the eclipse. So expect change. And if you're resistant to a lot of that change, it's probably going to show up in your hips or your low back, because the second chakra is about navigating change and accepting the change that's coming to you. With eclipses, there can be sudden endings, but on the flip side of that, it's a portal. It's an opportunity for potential new beginnings. So it's not all bad, even though you may see some things and people going through some gnarly stuff right now. My sister that's had breast cancer, she had a retina displaced from her eye. she'd gone on vacation and she was going blind for 2 days. She had to have emergency eye surgery, right? That's a shocking event that happened for her, right, at the eclipse time. We generally feel it 2 to 4 weeks before it happens, and then it propels us and the energy follows us. Generally 6 months, but the astrologers are saying this one will go for a year. So this one's a really potent one. And it's in the sign of Aries. So think about Aries as the beginning of the Western zodiac. So it's a cardinal. It's about pioneering. It's about being a trailblazer. It's about initiations. It's about being independent. It's about having strength and courage and confidence to be able to stand on your own. And a really cool thing that someone pointed out from Guy at TV, I can't remember his name, Matisse? Anyway, you may know who he is. He was saying that if you look at the last 3 eclipses that happened over in North America, the one that happened in 2017, the one that happened last year, and the one that's happening this year, if you put those lines together, it creates the alphabet, or one of the alphabet symbols in the Hebrew language. And I think it's called Alphi or something like that. And it actually means to stand with God, to be protected. So I thought that was a good sign. Anyway, there are going to be lots and lots of changes happening within this year, even within our politics, because we've got this election coming up. So Pluto has been in Capricorn, which is all about structure and rules and restrictions for like 20 years. And then this past several months, it's been in Aquarius, which is about rebellion, breaking down structure, going against the rules, creating new rules, right? And then, unfortunately, that would be great for the election, but unfortunately, in September, moving through the election, it's going back in Capricorn. So it's kind of like right now, everybody's like, really? We got to go with these 2 clowns again? This is all we got in America? And then all of a sudden September hits and we're going to be like, well, I don't want to say, I can't say what I wanted to say, but I guess this is what we're stuck with. And then we go back into rules and structures, and then boom, December hits, we go back into Aquarius for 20 years with the Pluto. Pluto is the lord of the underworld. The Pluto likes to dig up dirt, right? So things are going to be coming more and more out, and things are going to get a little bit more heightened, as we all expect. Nothing new with what's happening in the world, right? Earthquakes can happen, earth rifts can happen during the eclipse. We've already seen it, Taiwan, New Jersey, right? And there's this prediction with some psychics and channelers that I follow that there may be a big rift happening in the seas in the Indian Ocean between India and Australia. That's supposed to be one of the big events happening this year. You know how in 2020 we had like a lot of restrictions and rules come on us where everybody stay home, everybody wear masks, everybody do this, everybody do that, right? There's something similar happening in 2024, but they're saying it's not going to be that, it's going to be something different. And what some of the I didn't tell y'all this over the weekend, but what some of the channelers and psychics are saying is that when that happens in the ocean, it's going to create these gases in the air where we may have to stay inside. It may not affect us because we're all the way here in the United States. It may be affecting just that side of the world, but they're kind of thinking that could be the restriction where they can't breathe that poisonous air, right? And they're just going to have to stay inside. They said it's going to be very, very short-lived, but it's going to affect all of us, right? Think about if something's happening in several countries, obviously we depend on shipping and trade, right? There may be some interruptions with that. That's okay. The good news is this particular eclipse is supposed to be like a choice point. Now, this is what all the spiritualists are saying. I choose this narrative. That we're at a choice point and we're on the precipice of going into the other dimensional field, right? Everything's been very dense and hard and painful and suffering, right? And even the yogis talk about every so many thousand years we go through these cycles. And so we're breaking out of the Kali Yuga yoga, we're moving back into the golden age. We're moving again into the age of Aquarius, which is about high technology. It's about high advances in medicine. It's about more focus on the arts. It's about more peace and harmony and less toxicity and being able to, you know, be more one with each other and working more with the land, respecting Mother Earth, things of that nature. So I feel like we're on a really good trajectory on where we're going. But the spiritualists are saying this is a choice point with the eclipse. The eclipse is trying to highlight, and especially that lunar eclipse we had, the triggers, the emotions, our wounds. This eclipse in Aries is conjunct with Chiron, which is the wounded healer. And so facing some things coming up within your own personality or within your own conditioning that need some extra love and attention and tenderness. The good thing is this is a great time for healing and being able to align with as much light and love as possible. So I know there's this other narrative out there like doomsday eclipse, you know, and I know that there's this other narrative that's thinking, and some of the things are lining up biblically, but it doesn't mean it's the apocalypse. It doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It's the end of the old world and the beginning of the new world that's coming. So flip the script in your mind. Remember, fear vibration is really, really low. And if things are taking you into the mode of fear, it's not where you want to be, because the eclipse energy amplifies whatever energy you're in, right? So try to align with light and love. Try to honor what you're feeling. It's not saying don't feel it, but then figure out how to rise above it, how to line back up with integrity, how to line back up with truth, how to line back up to something that brings some joy, you know? So I think that's all I want to say right now about the eclipse. Let's set up. It is a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, 4 hours of a lot. All right. Coming to a comfortable seat. And aligning your vertebrae. Stacking each one upon the other, but providing some space in between. Close and rest your eyes. Just follow your breath for a moment as it moves in and out. I tend to find when I turn my attention to the breath, I naturally begin to expand the inhales and exhales. And if you're just in that mode of observing, try to begin to lengthen and strengthen both the in-breath and out-breath. You can do this in a deep diaphragmatic way that's a little bit more calming. But you can also engage the Ujjayi breath that allows you to hear, listen to that sound. Let this breath bring a deeper connection between your mind, your body, but also your spirit. And gently begin to flutter the eyes open. And once you flutter the eyes open, we're going to transfer to hands and knees. So once you come to your hands and knees, you're pressing the tops of the feet into the floor, just like you're pressing your hands down into the ground. And when you're anchoring this way, you're going to feel that engagement in your belly, in your core. Now, maintain that for a moment in the belly as you walk your hands over to the right. And then you can soften your belly at this point. Keep your right hand as is. Extend your left arm down farther so that you're extending the left arm and you're draping the upper body. And getting a deep stretch in the pit of the arm, as well as your side waist. Remember, the inhale is bringing nourishment in, and the exhales is like excreting waste from the body. So just let that exhalation pour all the way out. Invite that new breath to come in. So on your next inhalation, go ahead and slide your left hand back. Walk your hands over to the left. Extend your right arm out and lower about halfway towards the floor. There is a way to grip the hands to take this deeper, but you don't need to do anything else other than this to receive the benefit. A lot of the lymphatic tissues in the body need deep stretching along with deep breathing in order to drain. And that's what we're doing here. Deep stretching, deep breathing. And then inhale, gently begin to lift your way up. Walk your hands over to the mat again. Rock back towards your feet in extended child's pose. Now, once you start to lower your head, and it doesn't have to fall all the way to the floor, walk your fingertips out away from you and see how much traction you can actually get through your arms, but noticing it also creates some traction through your back. On your next in breath, if you rock up to your hands and knees, you'll notice that your hands are slightly beyond your shoulders. And keep them there, because now we're going to tuck the toes and we're going to lift up and back to downward facing dog. Look at the space between your feet and allow them to only be about 4 inches there. And if you roll your shoulders away from your ears, you may notice that your thumbs are not as heavy. So push back down to the mound of your thumbs, or through that base area below it. And that way, honoring how the muscles spiral to the arms. Push back away from your wrists. Feel free to lift through your heels to create a higher pinnacle for this pose. And then slowly travel the feet forward and up towards your hands. Now, since it's our first forward fold, I would suggest maybe having a soft bend in the knees. Letting your head and arms dangle freely. Putting a little bit more emphasis on your out breath. And then I want you to consider the affirmation we use in Ananda Yoga for this pose, which is nothing and no one on this earth can hold me down or back. And yet so often it is our conditioning, it is our old beliefs or ideas or our fears that hold us back. And that's why these eclipses happen, to wake us up, to shake us up, to put us back on our right path. But we still have free will. It's just up to us to listen and to follow that intuitive guidance. Now, on your next inhalation, let's go ahead and sweep the arms to the sides and up. Have your arms lifting up towards the sky and your feet really rooting downward.
When you root the feet downward, feel the ignition and activation in your legs, even your knees. When your arms are flying up, feel the activation even in your abdomen. Good, now roll the pinkies in more towards your temples. Feel that spreading of your wings, upper back, and shoulder blades. Good, and then exhale, fold down, Uttanasana. This time, see if you can attempt to keep the legs straight. If it causes any pain in the low back, feel free to bend your knees. Inhale, slide your hands halfway up. Draw the shoulders back away from your ears. So in other words, if your head's kind of down, if your shoulders are up towards your ears, you may be rounding your back. And we want to extend out through the breastbone, which will help the thoracic spine open up. And let your neck elongate away from the shoulders. And then exhale, double back down. Uttanasana. You're standing forward fold. Good, on your next in-breath, let's take the blocks and stack our hands on top and walk them out in front of the feet. So it's kind of like you're in tabletop, except your hands and feet at this point instead of hands and knees. All right, bend your left knee and keep your right leg straight. And just open up that IT band, that outer connective tissue. If you're not feeling it as much as you would like, you're welcome to maintain that stance with your legs and release the hands from the blocks and fold deeper without the blocks. So yogi's choice there. If you dropped, bring your hands back to the blocks, extend long through your spine, look down below your face, flip your right hand, and then let your eyes follow your hand if possible as you reach that right arm out and up towards the sky above. Fan the fingers wide to represent sun rays. The ones that may disappear briefly today. And think about how ancient cultures thought that the sun was being eaten, or they thought that God was bad and punishing them. They depended on the sun, just like we do today, but they didn't have an explanation for it. In some of the Native American cultures, some say the eclipse is the bear taking the bite of the sun, or the wolf has taken over the sun. And even in our Indian myths, we have Hanuman with his flight, with his curiosity, with his ability to jump up and to eat and swallow the sun, thinking it was a mango. I feel like that was an eclipse story. I don't know that for a fact. Bring that right hand down. Good, and swap. So both hands on the blocks, left leg straight, and now your right knee's bent. Your head is up, your spine is long, just checking in initially. And then if you want to initiate more of a stretch, right? You have that opportunity by releasing the hands away from the block or just bending the elbows and bowing forward more. Ready, bring the hands back onto the block, straighten out through your arms, straighten out through your back. Flip your left hand, and if your gaze can follow the hand up, use that hasta drishti. If it strains the neck, you don't have to turn the gaze up towards the hand. You can look to the side or even down towards your hand. Deep breaths. Exhale, let's lower that hand down. And once you lower that hand down, we're gonna allow the hands to come back down towards the feet as we double over to Uttanasana. And from here, we're gonna step back to our plank. And then from your plank position, stacking your arm bones, kicking your thigh muscles up. That way your knees aren't bowing, your hips aren't dragging. When that occurs, we tend to feel it in the low back. All right, let's lower the left knee below the hip. Shift that foot away, turn your right foot down to the ground and take the right arm skyward. All right, you have the option to stay here as you are. You also have the option to pick up the right foot and let it hover, hip height. You also have an opportunity, if you wish, to grab that right foot behind your back and balance and breathe. Good, when you're ready, release the foot if you're holding it. Release the right foot if it's in midair. Good, now let's bring the left shin back, the right hand down, and return to table. All right, rock your right foot off the mat, extend your left leg down the length of the mat, take the left arm skyward. And if you want to pick up that left foot, create that dorsiflexion through the ankle. And notice how that also helps to stabilize in your core, through your center. And the core is not just the abdomen, it's the quads. If you want to take a hold of that foot behind your back, you're welcome to. It'll just give you something different. It'll help to open up the quads. Bring some flexion to the knee. Good, now gently release that foot. Let it lower to the floor. And everyone cautiously come back to table. From table, you're gonna rock forward into up dog, keeping your pelvis off the floor, staying on the stilts of the arms. But I want you to check in with your neck. If your neck has shrunk, lengthen it. If your shoulders are poking forward, spread them out wider. If your heels are flopping away, roll them inward. Feel how that engages the glutes. Good, curl your toes. Take it all the way back to downward facing dog. Keeping the eyes peeled open to look at things in a new way. Just like a lot of people are looking at this eclipse in a new way, a very unique way. And then let's travel the feet forward, walking up to the top portion of the mat. Lift halfway up on arrival. Exhale, lower down and in. Root your feet, sweep the arms to your sides and up overhead. And then exhale, bring your hands to your hips. Roll the shoulders back, let your heart lift. And then puff up your chest without tucking your tailbone. Now, drop the tailbone towards your heels, shift your hips forward, and see which back bend is better for you. Going deeper is not always best. Check in with yourself. Be responsible for your actions. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, bend your knees deep, 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 really deep. And let your arms fall by the wayside. Palms open, standing form of child so that our back has an opportunity to round a little bit, but with support from the thighs. The thighs are supporting the front body. Let your head still be on the knees. And then on your next inhale, scoop the belly in. Keep your knees bent, extend your vertebrae, hands to the blocks. You're gonna take the blocks to the corners of your mat and then come up to stand. Now, with the blocks on the corners of the mat, you're gonna step back about this much, about a ruler's distance or slightly more. Good. Step your right leg back. And with your right leg back, you're not turning your torso to face the front. You're actually turning your torso to face the windows. Open out your arms, shoulder height. Keep that front leg straight, and then you're gonna hinge from the hips. Reach out over the front leg. Windmill that hand down to the shin. Right arm reaching up in the air. Remember, if there's ever a strain in your shoulder to reach this arm up, you don't have to. All right, we're gonna look down and we're gonna circle the right arm down towards the left foot. We're gonna lunge the left knee. We're gonna stack the hand to the block, and then we're gonna reach the right limbs away from each other. Now continue to look down, keep this gentle today. It's a version of half moon without rolling all the way open. Obviously, if you feel inspired to go there, feel free. Notice if you turned your left foot along the way. As long as it's not creating any pain in your left hip, it's fine. But if you are feeling some awkwardness in that left hip, it could be coming from the foot. All right, drop your right hand, bend that left knee, step the right leg back, and come back up. Good. Bring that right hand around in front of you. Bring the hands to prayer position at the heart, and then step up. Good. Step back with your left foot. Turn your torso more towards Christy, Donna, Emily. Extend your arms. Lengthen over. Windmill down. Trikonasana. Triangle pose. Stacking the shoulders. Finding a comfortable position for your neck. Now we'll transition. Lower that left hand, gaze down towards the right foot. A good time to look. Did the toes turn even a tiny bit? Recorrect if that's the case. Launch forward onto the right block. Extend your left limbs away from each other. It's a little easier to gaze down. I used to have this woman coming into Half Moon who did yoga Ayurvedic flows, and she would do them every season. And I know, especially in the fall season, she would say, if you're feeling less grounded, look down. If you're feeling less inspired, look up. All right, bend that right knee, tiptoe that left foot down, build your arms back up. Take your left hand around in front, bring the hands together, and then step back up. Cool. All right, we're gonna do some breath work. So this breath work, you can have your knees bent, say when you're pressing your hands down, and you can straighten your legs when you build your hands up. And if you don't want to use the legs at all, you can just use your hands and not even operate your legs, okay? But we're gonna flip the hands open at the waist. Inhale the hands up to the heart. Exhale, flip the hands and push them down. Inhale, hands up to the heart. Exhale down towards the feet. Again. Continue. We're going to change it. Inhale, hands up to the heart. Exhale, push the hands in front of the chest. Inhale, draw back into the heart. Exhale, ground it down. Inhale, breathe in and up to the heart. Breathe out, hands in front of the chest. Inhale, come back in. Exhale, ground it down. Continue. More just like this. Inhale, arms circle up. Exhale, hands push down, just like before, all the way down in front of you and back down towards the earth. Inhale, hands float up to the chest. Exhale, hands push out in front. Inhale, draw the energy back to the heart. Exhale, back down to the earth. Inhale, open the arms overhead. Exhale, all the way down. Inhale, hands up to the heart. Exhale, extend the arms in front. Inhale, hands come back in. Exhale, push them down. One more. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, push them down. Right. Inhale, hands back up to the heart. Exhale, push it out in front. Inhale back in. And then exhale down. Good. Inhale, lift your heels. Exhale, come to toe balance. Find your blocks. You can use them for balance. You can even walk them back so that you can erect the spine better. Careful with your foot.
Yeah.
I just thought about you. Yeah. All right, we're going to untuck the feet. Come down onto the heels if you can, or sit on a block if you need to. And you're gonna separate your knees. Is this okay, Judith? Is this okay?
I think so.
We're gonna take the hands in front, and then we're gonna spin the hands as much as we can, dialing them towards our knees or pubic bone. Simhasana, the lion pose. Stretching out these wrists. We're not going to do the lion's breath. Just breathe. Slowly feel the hands back. Shake them out. And we're going to do one more balancing pose before we start our restoration. So bring your elbows inside your bent knees. Drop your hands, lean back onto your seat, lift your feet, hook the arms below, and bring your middle finger to meet your thumb, the shooting mover for feet. The blossoming lotus. Lift your heart. This is a very transformative time, and we centered around the lotus flower Saturday. The lotus represents awakenings and transformation. So Uranus is going to be aligned with Jupiter at 420. Jupiter is expanding those awakenings and shocking revelations. I heard an astrologer say, just when you feel like all hope is lost, you strike gold. And she said that pretty much sums up this year, how this year is going to be. What this eclipse energy may feel like through the year, because this one goes on for like a year. All right, let's bring it down and find a block. And I'm gonna get my hair down. It's on the back of your head, near your neck. You may want to take yours down too. And when you have both feet on the floor, grab that block, tuck and lift, and slip that block right up underneath your seat. And then once you're resting on the block and it's in a comfortable position, flip your palms open. And close your eyes. So I had this teacher in Peru adjust me in bridge, and I loved it. And I was like, ooh, that felt so good. Because even as teachers, we build up habits in our yoga practice that are not ideal, right? And we need people to point these things out to us so that we can make some corrections if needed. And I guess I've gotten in the habit of really tucking my chin in my chest here and not even realizing it. Because in bridge pose, we are getting traction through the neck, right? And the brunt of the weight is not really in the neck in this pose, it's in the upper back and shoulders. But the little adjustment she gave to me, and I'm not gonna come around and adjust you because you can do it yourself. But if your chin feels like it's really tucked, it's not that you're trying to lift it towards the ceiling as much, but if you just lift it just a hair, just a little bit, as if you were holding like maybe a rolled up washcloth right there. And see if that feels good to you. Does it feel good to you? God, it felt great to me. Since you're on your back and you're restoring, turning to look at the right sound. Let's take the left leg and reach it up. You're welcome to keep the foot neutral. You're welcome to point and flex. You're welcome to rotate the ankle. And then try to tune in so you're not just going in with the power of suggestion. Like just tune in, like what do I need, if anything, right now? Good, settle that foot down and fly the right leg up. And notice if you are bringing the leg closer towards your chest. It doesn't need to be. In fact, if you're keeping some space in the lower half of the belly, this will provide a nice pool of circulation to come down into that area instead of cinching it off. Again, check in, do you need anything with the foot? And exhale, bring that foot back down to the floor. Now see if it's possible to extend your left leg towards me, towards the front of the room, resting on the heel. Occasionally I have an issue with my left SI joints. Your joints will tell you whether or not you should be here. You don't need to be here, back away. What we're trying to do is just open up and stretch that hip flexor through extending the leg. All you have to do is rest and breathe.
Let's back away by bending that knee and see how the right leg feels. If you extend it forward, resting on the heel, straightening out the leg. You may find one is fine and one not. And these are important things to notice when we're going through our practice. Where do we feel pain in the body? And is it a direct result of our stress? Is it linked in with our relationships? Is there some sort of emotional block? Or maybe there's weakness. And when you're ready, step it back. Lift up, remove that block, goes down to the sacrum. Hug your knees in. So if you think about the Aries, Aries is the I am. And for our Shavasana, we're gonna take a long restorative pose for our Shavasana. I'm going to be reciting some affirmations for you to work with. So let's roll to one side of the body, and you're going to set up in Stonehenge, which is, now of course, if you prefer legs at the wall, especially if your sleep's been disrupted, you know, you're welcome to go to the wall or legs up the wall. Or you can just send the legs up like this. You can also do a slide if you prefer that. So as we're doing this, who in here, I know Jen's trained in Reiki. Is anybody else trained in Reiki? Okay, Jen, you can turn on your hands for this. Even though you're not trained in Reiki, the rest of you, I still think placing your hands at different places that I asked you to for this affirmation meditation, you can move them from your thighs to your low belly, to your upper belly, to your chest, lightly to your throat, to your brow, to your head, you know, just to send the message to these different chakras, these different areas. So place your hands very lightly, like close to your hip points or your thighs, depending on what's comfortable there. And think about your root chakra, the pelvic floor down to the soles of your feet. And these affirmations are going to be about release, because even though it's a solar eclipse and a new moon, we're still carrying over the lunar eclipse energies. There's a lot of release that needs to happen. And then we're going to also invite some things in. I am letting go of any fears or blockages that hold me back from my highest potential and purpose. I choose to walk forward with confidence. I am letting go of any fears, blockages that hold me back from my highest potential and purpose. I choose to walk forward with confidence.
Now slide your hands to your lower belly. Working with the second chakra. This area that rules the hips, the reproductive organs, the low belly, and low back. I release any and all resistance to change. And as I ground and align within myself, I naturally align to the flow of life and what's revealed to me. I release any and all resistance to change. And as I ground and align within myself, I naturally align to the flow of life. What's revealed to me. Let's slide the hands to the upper abdomen, the solar plexus. Rules the digestive organs and even the mid-back. I choose to step into my power and call any fragmented pieces back home to me now. I am, and state your name, and I love who I am. I choose to step into my power and call any fragmented pieces back home to me now. I am, and state your name, and I love who I am. And bring your hands up to your chest or your heart center. It rules the heart, the lungs, the chest, upper back, shoulders, arms, and hands. I am committed to the love and light I hold within my heart. I know I am loved by the divine, and love is the way. I am committed to the light and love I hold within my heart. I know I am loved by the divine, and love is the way. If you bring your hands lightly to the sides of your throat or the back of the neck for the fifth chakra, affirm mentally within. I am aligned to my divine truth and divine design. I am capable of being honest, acting with integrity, and speaking my truth. I am aligned to my divine truth and divine design, and I am capable of being honest, acting with integrity, and speaking my truth. Let's take the hands just lightly now over the brow, third eye center. Affirming, I am awakening and remembering the intuitive powers I hold within. And I trust any visions and clarity I receive. I am awakening and remembering my intuitive powers, and I trust the visions and clarity I receive. And lightly to the top of your head, if your arms aren't too tired. If they're tired, just let them go and bring your attention to the top of the head. I am connected to everyone and everything, and I trust the divine downloads I receive. I am connected to everyone and everything. And I trust divine downloads I receive. Your arms can rest beside you or on top. Bask in some stillness and silence. Becoming watchful of the breath like you did at the start of the class. And if your observation of the breath leads to a deeper breath, go there. If being watchful is all that's happening, slowly begin to increase that intake of oxygen into your lungs. Once you do that, you're welcome to bring in some movement, maybe just a simple turning of your head side to side, maybe it's your hands and feet. And eventually hugging your knees in, wrapping your arms around the warm, loving embrace. Continue over to one side of your body. Press down into that top hand, sit up. Join your hands together in prayer. And the light and the love that I hold within my heart. Some reverence and respect. Humbly bow to the light and love that you hold within us. May we remember to stay aligned with this light and love through and after this eclipse. Stay. Be here. Whether or not you want to view it, whether or not you want to go be with friends, or don't want to be with your dogs, or meditate. But make it intentional and be careful on the roads because there, the studies have shown there are more accidents, right? We know that around the full moon, but it also is around the eclipse. So stay awake, stay alert. Don't be on your phone while you drive today. Yes. Yeah, you can look at the ground. Yes.
On the ground.
Yeah. I remember that from last time. That's pretty cool. Workshop coming up.
There's just, one in the month.
Is that Maria's? Yeah, there's a sound bath coming up.
Maria and here.
And Carrie's. I knew there was someone else, but I didn't know.
When does this go now? It'll be, I think it's 25th or 26th. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Friday night, at the end of this month, before we get into the May. Raising some.
Yes.
Yeah.